Hi everyone, thanks for joining today. I'm Hayley, the Accountancy Director here at Hive, and I'm joined by Simon, who is our Tax Director.
Nope.
Hello, Simon. So today we just wanted to take a little bit of time to cover the topic of paying family members. We've got a lot of clients that are either limited companies or sole traders that have family members that kind of help within their business and quite often ask if they can remunerate them and if that's tax efficient. So we wanted to cover some of the kind of key questions we get asked and give a bit of background on those. Um, Simon, to kick us off, can businesses pay family members? Who can they pay?
Uh, Nice, easy one to start with then. Absolutely. Yeah. Business can pay basically anyone who's doing some work for it. And that is the important bit. They do have to be doing something that they are being paid for, but not a problem employing family members.
So when we're kind of saying businesses, that doesn't just mean practices. That could also be an associate. So you could be an associate, be a practice owner, be a sole trader, be a company. Um, doesn't really have any kind of implications on or who you can
It
pay.
doesn't matter at all what you are trading as, or really what you are doing, as long as you've got a need for someone else to be working for you. Could be doing filing, could be running a social media, account for you. As long as they're doing something, however you're trading, you can pay them.
Perfect. What about because I'm sure many people have heard the terms of a director's salary as well. So can you have family members that are also directors of your company and remunerate them in that sort of way?
Yeah. Again, very straightforward. You can appoint anyone over the age of 16 to be a director of a limited company. And the difference with directors is they don't necessarily have to be kind of actively working. By taking on the role of director, they are taking on a legal responsibility to be
Mm.
a director for which they can be remunerated. Quite often you hear of a director's salary being, maybe about £1,000 a month is the most tax efficient rate, and you don't have to be physically working in the business to justify earning that if you are a director.
Yeah, you're kind of being remunerated for
Yeah,
having the title and the responsibilities that go
yeah.
along with that. Perfect. So can be paid for administration, maybe helping if you kind of keep your books on zero. They might kind of help you keep your zero books up to
Yeah,
date. A lot of clients have their kids that do their social media, so
yeah.
children can kind of help them with their Instagram for the practice. Um, so there's kind of various different roles that they can play in the business. When it comes to how much they can be paid for that, what's your guidance on that?
Um, a business has to make sure it's not overpaying people, particularly important if it's family members. There's nothing wrong with overpaying an employee because they're doing a great job and you want to kind of make sure they stay. But if it's a family member, you have to be really careful that it's not kind of artificially high. So the test I always kind of pose to clients is, would you pay me to do that thing? Would you pay me that amount? Um, if the answer is no, then maybe it's not the right amount to be paid. Other things that are important are national minimum wage applies to anything other than being paid for directorship. So you've got to comply with that. It's quite important. And then tax efficiency is quite important. But I think you've got some more specific questions around that as well.
So we're looking at this at the moment from the business's perspective, and it's tax efficient for them. It's also important to balance that with if it's tax efficient for the individual. So, um, broadly speaking, if someone has no other income, a lot of our clients' children kind of don't work yet, obviously, so they haven't got any income, or it might be that their parents are now retired, don't have any forms of income. Very tax efficient for them to do that. It's a bit of a
Yeah.
no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you're potentially taking income off of one person and putting it onto another. It's an expense for the business, it's an income for the person. So it's possibly reducing tax at a higher rate for one person who's putting it onto a person who's paying tax at a lower rate. Again, that's part of why it's so important that the rate is the right amount for the work being done.
mhm.
There's a whole bundle of technical rules that can essentially flip that salary back to the original person, or deny tax relief and things like that. So you can end up with a kind of double whammy where you didn't get tax relief on paying someone a salary, but that person still got taxed on it. So
Does this,
really,
if it's does any payment that you make to a family member have to go through payroll? So if you don't, so if you're an associate that doesn't have a payroll scheme, do you have to set up a payroll scheme?
unless that other person were self-employed, then yes, this is employment. There will need to be a payroll scheme. There is a cost to that, but if it's being done for tax efficiency, then the cost to running and maintaining a payroll scheme is generally less than the tax savings you might achieve.
Hmm.
But ever since RTI came into payroll a few years ago, whereby it all has to be reported in real time now, there's no minimum limit as to which you can pay a salary without needing a payroll scheme.
Okay, so it's a bit more administration, which is
Yeah.
offset by the tax savings. Perfect. So a question that I get asked quite often is, so our clients might have a child that's kind of 14, 15 that kind of helps with their social media.
Yeah.
What age can you start paying them? Are there any restrictions around that?
You're legally allowed to pay anyone over the age of 13. However, they are subject to other restrictions. So there's a limit on the hours they can work for you, depending on their age. They're not subject to minimum wage until 16. But I know some local councils require permits for younger people to work. So you just got to be careful as to where you are, how old they are, what they're doing.
Yeah,
There's more information available on the government website about employing children.
perfect. I think those are the key points, but maybe I think the takeaway from today's video is that there are kind of yeah, certain parameters, but how they apply to kind of your situations can be quite bespoke sometimes. So it's an area of tax planning in essence. It's something that we can definitely help with. So if this is something that you think could benefit you or is applicable to you, you've kind of got family members helping you run your business, then please just get in touch and we can assess it for your particular
Absolutely.
circumstances.